Okay, note to self. Never, never, ever choose to start a blog post after you've had an IV dose of pain medication. It may be proved to be extremely entertaining, but it'll be very frustrating to me tomorrow when I go through and take a look at what we've done together. Uh, Today was a pretty good day, and it's interesting because not I'm not sure that the same criteria of things happening on the same day would justify saying that. And by that I mean that there are certain things on some days that are more significant than they might be on other days. And today was one of those days. It was a good day in many respects, not the least of which is that I was able to uh, accept visitors today. And that may not seem like a big deal, but isolation is a really big problem with this particular disease. And as such, you've got to be really careful that you stay emotionally strong as well as physically strong, um, and medically strong, biologically strong. I We were able to have friends of ours who have been dear friends for a very long time who are out here donating blood and platelets at the same time. Excuse me. Sorry about that bump. Uh, they were able to stop by. We've known them for as far longer than we've been married. Uh, but we've had people, friends, out here in the past 11 days who have come by and called Leslie, as I've asked everybody to do, because she's got to make the ultimate decision about whether I get to see somebody or not, what shape I'm in, because often she's a better judge than I am, because I have afflicted with this disease that suggests that regardless of what I'm asked when it comes to something like that, I'll always say yes, thinking and feeling to myself, that's a long way to come to donate blood and platelets for me. And the least I can do is keep myself together long enough for a short conversation. Well, unfortunately, that's not always the case. Sometimes keeping yourself together is far harder than it should be, it ought to be, or it is, but it still is. That doesn't change anything. Um, and that's to the point where uh, devoting all the effort that you have, all the strength that you have, all of the cognitive neurons that you may have to being a good host, the price that you can pay for that the next day or the day after is significant. And we certainly don't want that to happen. I've got to get well, and I've got to get well as quickly as I can so that I can make my first deadline, and that's leaving the hospital within the first 30 days so that I could begin the next hurdle, the next challenge, which is clinical visits for 2 days, 2 times a week for the next 100 days after leaving here. And it takes a lot more energy to remain upright and thoughtful than most people think it does. But today was one of those days where everything came together. I had a really decent evening. I was able to get some sleep for a change. Longer periods of REM sleep than I normally get. And that might have been it, either because I was too exhausted to stay awake or because I just got lucky in the respect that I fell asleep at all the right times, and the intervals at which I was awakened during the night weren't so awful. And our daughter-in-law, who happened to be out here in this area, was able to stop by at the same time. Um, and that helped me. That helped me feel a lot better about the day. And feeling a lot better about the day is important because, as I said before, isolation is a big deal. Isolation is a big problem in the psychological profile that you have to fill out, and then the evaluation that you experience subsequently after that. Uh, they want to be sure that you're not going to flip out, or or start to unravel. I told them with me that would be particularly hard to tell, and they might not be able to find enough people that had ever seen me normal enough to make that judgment, but that didn't stop them from doing it and making the evaluation anyway. So I was able to do that. For those of you that have stopped by when I wasn't in as good a shape, and please remember that this is a progression, that even slowly I do get better, a little bit better every day, as the numbers would indicate, which also indicate the fact that the stem cells are working. They're grafting themselves to the big bones in the body, and they're starting to go into production, making red and white blood cells and platelets and whatever else whatever else stem cells do. Whatever they do is magical. But in any case, those numbers are starting to change, indicating that process is in process. And the better the delta in the numbers, the greater the difference in those numbers from where I began until this moment, make all the difference in the world. And something that's really absurd isn't really so absurd. When you have a white blood count that's below 2, and then you look up there at the board and all of a sudden it's 3, that change is huge. It's significant. It needs to be a lot higher, and it will be, hopefully, but it's something that we also need to consider. So we had a good day in that respect, and also had a good day, and everybody that was in here, the team of doctors that was in here today to evaluate my progress so far and how I did over the weekend, all agreed that we were moving in the right direction. We were headed in the direction we're meant to go, supposed to go. And that means a lot psychologically to the person who's making this journey, to understand that there is visible evidence, not just opinion, but psychological and physical evidence that you're on your way towards a cure. And that makes putting up with a lot of the other stuff that you've got to put up with in order to do what you have to do. That's a lot of pronouns, I know that, but I mean, you got to think about it in earnest. The mantra is eat, drink, pray. Eat, drink, walk, rather. Praying doesn't hurt either, by the way. You can certainly fit that in somewhere, and you do. But when food tastes like crap or doesn't taste at all, which is worse because then it's just texture, or when your throat hurts so badly when you swallow, you don't want to go ahead and ingest whatever food you just spent a half an hour chewing into your mouth, because it's going to make you want to jump off a building. Or you're so exhausted that you can't walk because you don't even want to get out of bed. It makes it challenging. So today was a good day because I was able to eat my breakfast. I was able to eat the whole thing. Today was a good day because I walked 2 miles today. I did the 10 half-mile, however many feet loops I had to walk to get to get 2 more feet up there on my IV tree. And I had a lot more time to think about how life is going to look and feel and be as I recover from this insidious disease and get on with a new life without it. And that's what that's all about. And I think I'm going to close here because the day was so good. It was exhausting, and it was emotionally exhausting in a good way. The only thing I would say before that is if you have come out here and you have tried to get in to see me and I've not been able to see you, please understand that it's not because I don't want to. I'd give anything to put on a pair of jeans and sit down across the room and have a normal a conversation in a very abnormal situation. So please don't be offended by that and accept my apology. As I get better, I'll be able to see more and more people. Just, you know, they have to be the people that'll play by the rules, make sure that they have not been exposed to any kind of illness anytime within any gestation period. Any kind of bacteria or virus would need to live and grow. Wear a mask, wash up, wear a gown, the whole 9 yards when it comes to all of that. Okay? In the meantime, thank you for hanging out with me. I've gotten some great support. I've gotten some great comments. I am grateful for all the thoughts and prayers. I am grateful for those of you who have donated already or those who have made appointments to donate in the future. It is so far more critical the need than you'll ever understand, and what you're doing is saving lives. And usually you have to run into a fiery building or a flaming car, rescue somebody out of a flaming car. This is a lot more intelligent, benign way to do it. So stay with me. I'll be back tomorrow. This is February 13th. This is April 13th, 2019, T+11, 11 days after transplant. Mitch Schneider, over and out.